Good afternoon, everybody. We're here to talk about sermon this coming week at church. And we have been in a sermon series called Return from Exile. And this will be the third sermon in that series. Last week we explored Psalm 137, which was a psalm that was written during exile. It was a psalm of lament, of longing for home and what home meant to people. We'll look at the Psalms again this week, Psalm 130, and I've entitled the sermon Cadences of Home. And Psalm 130 kind of has a cadence or a rhythm to it that I think mirrors our own experience of the power of worship and the power of being together as community. And the phrase that's used in the psalm is, I wait for the Lord. My soul waits for the Lord. And in God I hope for the Lord. And so there's this waiting and longing and hoping that our life will be different than it was before. Part of the Psalms is these prayers, these songs of God's people written centuries ago were part of the emotion and feeling of God's people. It's kind of the unique text. Most texts in the Bible are telling things about God's people, history, information, various insights into the characters of the Bible. But when we get to the Psalms, it's us speaking to God. And there's this cadence of waiting and waiting and waiting, and then the waiting turns to hoping. It's in that cadence of waiting that we discern our true identity. And one of the things we hate more than anything else in our world is waiting for things. We don't like waiting in line, waiting on the highway, waiting at the doctor's office. We wait for all kinds of stuff, and most of us have no patience for waiting. We want it now. But one of the things that COVID-19 has done for us, it has changed the nature of what waiting means. When we wait, when we come out of that waiting, when we're no longer waiting, what are we experiencing as people of faith? I think the psalm gives us a cadence for what home should be like. Out of that waiting comes hope and possibility, compassion and justice. Coming out of waiting isn't just sitting still. Coming out of waiting and out of that hoping is activity, a driven passion that wells up within us that we want to respond as God's people in the world with meaning and purpose. So as we think about this cadence of home, this longing, this rhythm that calls us forward, I think the psalm gives us some insights into how we should live our life individually and as community. So come out of the waiting, come to worship, experience God's love, and experience what God has for us next in the cadences of where life will take us. Join us on Sunday.